All right, most of the time, I'm pretty silly in my reviews, but this time, get ready for
serious Elvis.
Because this movie, absolute cinema. All right, you can arrest me, officer. That joke was too good. It was me. Between this movie and Nosferatu, vampire movies are making a comeback in a big way. If you like vampire movies, you've been eating good.
Why don't you eat some boschetti?
That's me. I'm that person. I've been eating very well. See?
God, I'm so full. Waiter, give me another round of everything I ordered!
You want more, don't you?
Oh, if you want this shirt, you can get it at alienclothing.com. As well as this hoodie. It has sleeve art and everything, and a little cool thing on the front here. A little alien logo that looks like the vampires with the red eyes. Oh, spooky. We also got this shirt with the Smokestack twins and Sammy on the bottom there with the guitar. I love them so much. So yeah, we're doing this new thing with movies that I adore with alienclothing.com. We're gonna release a couple shirts and maybe a hoodie here and there for movies that I really love. It's just a cool way to give back to my community and at the same time show appreciation for a film that I really love. These shirts and the hoodie will only be available for 7 days, so get one before they're gone. If you wanna be informed about a future merch drop, then make sure to download the Alien Clothing app. Just search Alien, AYYLIEN. We're on iOS and Android. You'll get notifications 48 hours before anything drops, so you'll definitely be able to get things before they sell out. You can use the QR code on screen to get the app. All right, back to the review. Thanks for listening to my ad. I think this is the best movie of the year, hands down. This is the type of movie that comes out once every decade, the type of film that changes the way we think about cinema. Remember when horror movies weren't taken seriously in Hollywood? Well, it feels like those days are behind us. It almost feels like a joke thinking about that after the massive success of this movie. With a $90 million budget and a worldwide theatrical release gross of $365 million, holy shit, they got their money. 97% critic score and 96% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh my God. This is a slam dunk, a fucking home run. I mean, what else can I say that's sports related? I don't watch sports. It's ballin' ho. The movie was directed by Ryan Coogler, the same guy that directed Black Panther, Creed, and Fruitvale Station. The lead actors are Michael B. Jordan, who also acted in Black Panther, Creed, and Fruitvale Station. It's clear that these guys really love working together. Kind of reminds me of Robert Eggers and Willem Dafoe. It also features Haley Steinfeld and Miles Catton. Michael B. Jordan is astounding in this movie. He plays two characters, the Smokestack twins, that's Smoke and Stack. While they're obviously twins, the characters are very different from one another, and Michael B. Jordan plays them perfectly. The only way that this movie could have been better is if Michael A. Jordan was available for the role, but unfortunately he wasn't.
Really, that's funny, yeah.
So yeah, like most people, I loved Sinners. Okay, this poster is pretty sick, isn't it? It tells a thought-provoking and exhilarating story. If you go into it expecting just like a scary, spooky horror movie, then you should prepare yourself to receive a shit ton more than that.
The shit's gonna hit the fan.
That would be like if you were in the mood for a burger. So you go to McDonald's, but you end up in McDonelli's, and you get the best fucking burger you've ever tasted in your entire life. This movie tells a thought-provoking and exhilarating story, all while exploring themes of racial and cultural injustice, oppression and appropriation, systemic racism, generational trauma, and it also touches on the religious crimes of our forefathers who used Christianity as a tyrannical tool. The movie explores the struggle for Black American freedom, as well as the search for self-worth and identity as a Black person of the time. This is the third highest grossing horror movie ever made. The world is healing. You know what I mean? Quality is being recognized, and it makes me so happy. The aspect ratio will change from scene to scene, but I hardly even recognized it the first time that I watched the movie, and I love that. It's so expertly done that it's hardly noticeable until the very end during a vampire infiltration scene that I'll mention later. This movie is a treat for every sense. Every frame is beautiful and none are wasted. The music that accompanies every scene isn't distracting, but serves to elevate the experience and pumps it full of soul. And the music is also appropriate for the movie and the time. Blues music with guitars and harmonicas. God, the music in this movie is so good. Depending on the scene, it's either haunting or beautiful. Round of applause to Ludwig Göransson. I'm not sure if I said his last name right, but killer music, my guy. Ryan Coogler has a gift for writing characters that feel incredibly organic and real. Every person in this movie is flawed. Every person is a sinner. Ha! He said it! And they're all just trying to navigate this awful world they're in as best they can, while also trying to protect the ones they love. The movie starts by telling us that there are legends of people born with the power of making music so true that it can pierce the veil between life and death, conjuring spirits from the past and the future. In ancient Ireland, they were called Fili, in Choctaw land, they called themselves Firekeepers, and in West Africa, they were called griots. Music brings people together, but it also attracts evil. This movie transports you back to the 1930s, and it feels so authentic and real. The clothing, the music, the cars, the buildings, everything looks so good.
It was perfect.
Even the ugliest aspects of the time are highlighted in this movie, like Jim Crow segregation laws and Klansmen. At the very beginning of the movie, This Little Light of Mine is sung in a chapel, and it's interrupted by a young man holding the broken neck of a guitar, with a wound on his face and blood on his clothing. At this point, we can only guess what's happened to him. This is Sammy, the son to the preacher of this chapel. Sammy's complicated relationship with his preacher father evokes a sort of critique on westernized Christianity. His father wishes for his son to follow in his footsteps. He wants him to live a pure and righteous life free of sin.
I just wanna be pure.
His father was at one point indoctrinated into American Christianity. He decided to assimilate and not resist, but it was still something that was done against his will. He believes that through Christianity, Sammy will find peace and happiness, and he'll be able to lead a life free of sin. Of course, in thinking this way, he's putting his own desires before his son's. I think it's such a cool detail that the X-shaped cross seen in the church's rafters was an intentional homage to the late Chadwick Boseman from Black Panther, and director Coogler's beloved Black Panther duology, explained to production designer Hannah Beachler. The X is a representation of the Wakanda Forever crossed arm gesture seen in various Marvel films. Apparently, one of Jack O'Connell's takes for a scene being shot outside was prematurely cut by director Coogler when a wild alligator wandered onto set behind him. Sammy experiences jump scare flashbacks of his encounter with vampire Remick that we'll experience later in the movie, and this happens when his father speaks to him. This is an effective way to prepare the audience for what's gonna happen. It's some effective foreshadowing, but there's something more subtle going on here. Sammy's preacher father is not all that different from Remick the vampire in one sense. They're both trying to change Sammy in different ways. Remick wants to absorb his musical gift, and his father wants to prevent him from using it, both effectively robbing him of his passion and his power. His father says,
"In the name of God, let it go, Samuel."
and he's talking about his guitar. Can Sammy keep his music and be free of sin at the same time? According to his father, if he entertains drunkards and prostitutes and people who sin, it's only a matter of time until the devil catches up with him and follows him home. And there's a moment later on in the movie when Sammy almost starts to believe this. It's only when he returns to his father at the very end of the movie when he realizes what choice he has to make, and it kills him. So let's break down the characters. I've already mentioned Sammy, but let's dig into him a little deeper. Sammy Moore is the young son of a preacher with a passion for music. He's also the Smokestack Twins' little cousin. Sammy is a generational musical talent. When he plays for the crowd at the juke joint later in the movie, he sings with such vigor and feeling that the power of the music alone pierces the veil between life and death, like they say in the beginning of the movie. So it conjures music from the past and the future, and it's honestly one of the most creative scenes introduced to cinema in countless years. I haven't seen something this fun and groundbreaking since Everything Everywhere All at Once. The camera hovers around the room as musicians emerge and vanish from various times in history, before the camera pans upward as the juke joint figuratively burns away around them, telling us that the world around them has completely vanished.
And
The literal barn burner scene.
yes,
For this brief moment in time, these Black Americans, who have known so much oppression and bigotry, get to experience a single night of bliss where nothing matters except the music. And the elation felt between all these people is palpable. These Black Americans are using the power of music to heal themselves and bring about a sense of community. Now let's talk about the Smokestack Twins. It's so hard to say their names. Smokestack Twins. Say Smokestack Twins 5 times fast. Smokestack Twins, 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 Smokestack Twins. I know I can't say it, but incredible nicknames for a badass gangster duo. One named Smoke, one named Stack. The Smokestack Twin. It's just cool. You know, if Ryan Coogler plays video games, I bet he has like the best name for his like World of Warcraft character. You know what I mean? Like something you come across when you're playing and you're like, Why didn't I think of that? So these twins are notorious outlaws who served in World War I and who used to work for Al Capone in Chicago. But they've returned to Mississippi with a small fortune, so they can open a juke joint, a place where Black Americans can exist and enjoy themselves freely, for a short while anyway, before the oppressive world around them crushes their spirits the following day. These two men learn that the only way for them to thrive in this evil world that doesn't want or value them simply because of the color of their skin is to reject society entirely and live a life of crime. It's hard to blame them for doing this. And you can sense as you're watching the movie that these guys aren't very proud of what they've done in the past in order to get where they are today. In fact, Stack pushes a woman that he loves away from him so that she might live a more fulfilling life and be protected away from him. And the movie starts with them purchasing a sawmill from the leader of the KKK. Like, holy shit, the balls on these gentlemen. And they don't take any shit from this guy. The fact that they gave money to this piece of shit for this property in the first place, instead of just, you know, killing them for it or something, just speaks volume to their character, you know? They're changed men. It seems to me like they're trying to put their life of crime behind them. They want to start a legitimate business run by and for the Black community. Smoke wears blue and is much more stern and hardened than Stack. He's quick to resort to violence, even if it's simply to teach a lesson, but he's also rational and he cares for the youth and downtrodden. During one scene, he teaches a young girl how to haggle. It's a short scene, but he teaches her that she's worth more than she thinks she is, and I love that. I mean, moments later, he shoots a dude in the ass for trying to steal from his truck, but what can you do? You know, no one's perfect. He then blasts another guy in the leg. It's such a funny scene too. He turns around, he's like, God damn it, you shot me in the ass.
I was doing better before you shot me in the ass.
Smoke is faithful to one woman. Her name is Annie, and they've lost a child together. And the trauma from that incident is very evident through Michael B. Jordan's performance. You will never see this man smile. It's like the death of his child washed all the joy away from this guy. There is a moment when he's watching Sammy play music when you think he might smile a little bit, you know, like the music is that good. During that scene, I was looking at him, I was like, you can do it, bro. Just a little smirk, just a tiny one. Come on, let it out. You know you want to, but no. He's been through too much shit. Stack, on the other hand, wears red. He's more of the playful, charismatic, fun-loving twin, and he has a complicated past with a woman named Mary. You can kind of get the sense that this guy is more of a playboy than Smoke. He loves to joke around and poke fun. There are a lot of dark themes in this movie. It's centered around Black oppression during the 1930s. But what I love about this movie is that Ryan Coogler puts a very interesting twist on this. He had said to Variety, when people think about the 1930s Mississippi, the first thing that comes to mind is segregation, hard times. You don't think about people dealing with all that actually having a good time, like having a party so good you wish you could go to it. I was like, oh yeah, we might have a movie here. And not just a movie, but a movie for our time now. I love that. Coogler thought beyond movie tropes. He shined a light on something that nobody, at least to my knowledge, in the world of cinema has done before. It makes this film so special. While this film is obviously about the Black experience, it also highlights the indomitable human spirit and a human being's ability to carve out a place for themselves where they can escape from the evils of the world even when everything else is against them. There's a lot of evil and darkness in this movie, but there's also an incontrovertible ray of hope presented during Sammy's performance, a clear vision of a better future for Black people, and that's presented more clearly to us at the very end of the movie when we're introduced to older Sammy. Coogler introduces some light into this very evil time, but he definitely doesn't shy away from the oppression and bigotry that Black people faced under the shadow of Jim Crow. The character Mary introduces the complexities of being biracial during that time, and how someone might struggle with their identity being biracial even today. Her character's mother raised the twins, and she's in love with Stack. There's a very strong bond between her and the twins, but Stack had sent her away for what he believes is her own good. But she's desperate to get back with him because she's in love with him. He had set her up with a white husband and a comfortable life on a farm, because Stack cares for her more than anything in the world, and he thought that the best thing for her was to push her away, because he believed that with him, she would only be putting herself in danger, and he wouldn't be able to live with himself if something happened to her. Because of her lighter skin, he figured that she would have a better life with someone else. But she simply wasn't in love with the rich white man. She found that she was miserable, even with this comfortable lifestyle, and so she left that life and sought out Stack.
I just want to keep you someplace safe, and I was never going to be here, and I was never going to be with me.
And then there's Annie, Smoke's lover, and mother to their deceased child. She's incredibly in tune with her African culture. She practices voodoo, or West African Vodun, or voodoo. The knowledge that her culture provided her plays a pivotal role later in the movie when the living fight off the vampires in the juke joint. Earlier in the movie when Smoke travels to visit her, he expresses how he's been all over the world, but he's never seen anything like ghosts or demons or anything supernatural. They have this mutual disagreement, but they still definitely love and respect one another, and she doesn't like accepting money from him because of the way he's earned it. She calls it blood money. They have these disagreements like any couple would, but they also have a very strong bond. They love each other more than anything in the world, and their acting together sells it so well. Everybody's acting role in this movie is impeccable. I'm kind of astonished that this is Miles Caton's first role in a movie ever, because holy shit, he's so good. His singing is fantastic.
Somebody take me.
His guitar play is next level. His acting is great. Where'd they find this kid? I mean, good lord. Put him in more stuff, please. The property that the twins purchase is, unbeknownst to them, a butcher house that the Klansmen have used to murder black people in the past. And obviously they're planning to do that again with the twins and whoever they bring there. It's Stack's job to find people to come to the juke joint. But in order to entice people to join, he's gonna need musicians. He's gonna need entertainment, right? That's where Sammy and Delta Slim come in. Delta Slim is an older and bitter musician. He's an alcoholic who's just coasting through life and trying to make ends meet.
You gon'
He calls himself a sinner. Stack entices Delta Slim with some Irish beer. He's like, oh, hell yeah.
Not goodness.
I like some good drinks. He won't do it for money, but he'll do it for drinks. That's addiction for you.
And I'm fucking addicted, so I can't quit!
A huge crowd forms around Sammy and Delta Slim as they play music together. Word starts to spread about the juke joint, so Delta Slim joins them on the road. In the car, he tells Sammy and Stack a story about his old musician friend Rice. They used to play together, and they made a good amount of money off of white people. But before Rice could spend any of it, the Klan stole it from him, made up a story about how he got the money, and lynched him for this made-up crime, and desecrated his corpse. The memory is so painful to Delta Slim that he starts humming a tune, trying to use music as a defense mechanism, or as a way to cope with the trauma, something that he's definitely done before.
Hey!
This is a wonderful way to make us loathe the Klan, you know, even more than we already do, before the end of the movie where there'll be a very nice payoff. Now, of course, I'm a white person living in America, and it just didn't feel right making this video on a movie that centers around black struggle without including a black voice in the video. Let me introduce you to a great media review channel that I'm a massive fan of. It's named Friendly Space Ninja. He made one of my personal favorite videos on Stranger Things. He made an incredible video on the downfall of The Walking Dead. His channel is amazing. If you haven't checked it out, then you should. The link will be in the description. So obviously he's a black creator. He's also a musician. He makes really cool electronic music. All these things combined made him the perfect person to reach out to for this video. And I was really interested to hear his personal feelings about this movie because he hadn't made a video about it. And so I reached out to him and he agreed to record his thoughts for this video for all of you. So without further ado, please lend your ears to Dylan. And don't forget to subscribe to his channel.
Okay, let's fucking do this. So I asked Elvis to let me into his channel and he said, come in without any precaution whatsoever, and that's his fucking problem. I'm taking over now. This movie goes so hard, my guy. This shit slaps. I don't even know where to start. I think it's fair to acknowledge that Sinners as a movie is kind of a miracle. It is absolutely wild that a movie like this with such specific themes and such an uninhibited execution was allowed to exist in this current state of Hollywood, at low-key the current state of like the world. Ryan Coogler was really playing against the odds making this film, and honestly, even with the backing of someone like Michael B. Jordan, I don't know that a studio would have let him make this if it weren't for the $2 billion he brought Disney with his Black Panther films. But my guy, it is good to see the power of lucrative blockbusters being used to, in turn, make such a meaningful masterpiece. Ryan Coogler has always been about culture. The preservation of culture has been a central theme of most of his movies, and he always finds creative ways to bring that to the table. Like, the historical context of the movie is quite specific, and it wasn't chosen out of nowhere. Sinners takes place in in Mississippi in 1932. Yeah, let's just say that wasn't the best time or place for black people. We're seeing how the effects of slavery have lingered in America, despite it having been officially abolished in 1865, almost 70 years earlier. At this point in time, a black person being free is still kind of a fairy tale in the eyes of most people, and freedom itself, and the meaning behind that term, is a major theme the movie explores throughout its runtime, mostly through Sammy, who is young and full of hope and dreams of freedom to travel the world and play music as a free man.
Look at that sky. That's a mighty fine day to be free, ain't it?
And he looks up to the twins because while they're gangsters who have done some not so great things and allegedly worked for Al Capone in Chicago, he sees them as free men who made their own choices and built themselves up in a world where that seemed impossible for people like him.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
This movie is Ryan Coogler proudly flaunting black culture and its legacy from a time where preserving it was particularly difficult, despite the fact that white people were all too eager to exploit it. That's why the whole idea of vampirism is perfect for this movie. And so here we are. We get a Southern Gothic horror film about people of color fighting to preserve their community from someone who wants to assimilate it for their own ends. Like the twins return from Chicago to open a juke joint, it's more than just a narrative device to get shit going. It is a nod to the broader socioeconomic currents of black identities in the middle of the violence of Jim Crow America.
I was looking for 3 hooded morons.
KKK and all. Coogler harnesses vampirism as a metaphor for white exploitation, particularly the historical consumption of black culture, labor, and bodies. And the antagonist, the Irish-American vampire, is represented as feeding on black vitality both literally and metaphorically. I mean, let's be real, the guy plays fire music, but he's still kind of weird. Coogler has a real desire to show beauty in this culture through the movie, and he succeeds at doing that at every turn. It's the way he brings life to black masculinity and shows how vulnerable these two brothers are with each other and with the people they love, mostly when it comes to the women in their lives and with the youth that looks up to them. It's the way Coogler goes above and beyond to portray unrelentless desire for women with different body types, which is something Hollywood is allergic to, especially when it comes to black women. It's the way female characters are brought to life and how they interact with the people around them. It's the way he naturally involves spiritual elements in the cultural texture of the movie, drawing upon hoodoo traditions to showcase black spiritual practices as fundamental tools of protection and defiance against both the supernatural, aka the vampires and the implied existence of other evil forces in the world, and historical violence that, unfortunately, is way too real. Look, I could do this all day. Ryan Coogler fucking popped off with this movie. Sinners is a proud and loud love letter to black culture through time, but also just a celebration of community. It really showcases the strong bond this people cultivated at a time where having anything in their lives was uncertain. This movie works so well and so deeply because of the passion that makes it. It's a movie that fundamentally wants to say something, wants to honor that culture that so many people, black and otherwise, have inherited from, often without even knowing it. Anyways, bottom line is, this movie is sick, and if you don't like it, you're racist!
Around 42 minutes into the movie, we get a scene that, up to this point, feels kind of random. This white guy with burns all over his body jumps down into frame and rushes to a cabin in the middle of nowhere in search of shelter. This guy is Remick, a vampire, and the two people that live in this lonely home are members of the KKK. They answer the door for him with guns drawn. Remick notices the clan robe behind them and attempts to use their intolerance and prejudice against people different from them, in this case the Choctaw tribe that's after him, to his advantage. Since he's a vampire, he's not able to enter someone else's property without their allowance. I mean, he's white, so they'll let him in anyway, right? Their death is pretty ironic because if they just listened to the Choctaw tribe when they arrived, then they might have been spared. Their intolerance against those that looked different than them was their undoing. Remick played them like a fool. I think it's so funny how these indigenous people walk up to this house, knock on the door, knowing full well that the vampire is in there. But as soon as they see the KKK cloak, they're like, hey, you know, we think that there's a vampire in there that you probably will die, but no, you're cool. All right, see ya, dude. Yeah, the sun's going down. And then they just fuck off and we never see him again. Low key, I kind of want a spin-off of the Choctaw tribe and just them going around hunting vampires. I think that'd be kind of cool, you know, flesh them out a little bit. Because their scene is so quick, but it's so intriguing at the same time. Like, there's so much more in this world that could be explored. It'd just be fun. But I'm honestly more than okay with this just being a one-off movie. Director Coogler admitted that he had never considered it, saying, "I never think about that. I've been in the space of making franchise films for a bit, so I wanted to get away from that. I was looking forward to working on a film that felt original and personal to me, and had an appetite for delivering something to audiences that was original and unique. I wanted the movie to feel like a full meal. Your appetizers, starters, entrees, and desserts. I wanted all of it there. I wanted it to be a holistic and finished thing. That was always my intention." And it definitely feels that way. This definitely feels like a finished product. It doesn't need any spin-offs or anything. Like, even just like a little YouTube video or something showing us a little bit more about the Choctaw tribe. But that's just the only thing I want to know more about. I'd like to mention that this movie gets really horny during some scenes. "You must bounce on it, sinners style." Sammy goes down this girl that's married in one scene. Stack has vampire sex with Mary during another scene before, you know, getting a hickey that is a little bit too extreme for my taste anyway. Also, the vampire's teeth. Woo! They're growers, not showers. They've got real big, nasty, gnarly gnashers. Like, they don't just have the two pointy teeth, they got like 4 big, giant teeth, right? Getting bit by one of these guys looks like it's gotta hurt. You're not gonna get 2 little puncture holes. They're gonna rip your entire throat out. So Remick shows up outside the juke joint with his 2 newly vampiric clansmen. These vampires, they wish to feed.
This is called what?
Turkey sausage.
This is called what?
Turkey bacon.
And this is called what?
But more than that, Remick desires to absorb the flawless blues music he heard from outside. A different type of vampirism, but still just as prevalent. Somehow he knows that Sammy is the one that was singing just by seeing him from outside the doorway. I'm not sure how. Perhaps he can just sense the musical prowess within him.
You're the one I came for. I sensed you.
And Remick is hungry for that musical passion. Of course, being vampires, they're not allowed to enter unless invited.
You wouldn't mind us coming in now, would you?
Which could symbolize that most evil that we face in our lives only truly affects us if we let it. Since they're white, the twins are immediately suspicious of the 3. Remick tries to convince them that they mean no harm. The 3 even play a tune for them from outside. And Stack seemingly enjoys their music. I mean, they harmonize pretty well. Because they're all in each other's mind. They're all linked, you know? They got this like hive mind thing going on. But Remick's charm is resisted by Smoke, who's the more pragmatic of the 2, and tells them to be on their way. I love how deep and rich the history feels between the characters in this movie, and the acting talent sells it perfectly. As a viewer, listening into these conversations between Mary and Stack, or Smoke and Sammy, you can tell that these people truly care for and love one another. It almost feels like you've already watched 10 seasons of a TV show, and now you're here with these people, and you're kind of familiar with them. That's how good the acting is. They love each other so much, they're more than willing to emotionally hurt one another to keep them safe in this evil world. There's another channel that I'd like to highlight really quick that made a great video on how this movie relates to Christianity. The channel is called Breaking in the Habit, and it's run by a Catholic priest. And in his video titled "Sinners is Anti-Christian, Still a Masterpiece," he discusses how the movie is overtly anti-Christian.
To say that I love this movie is an understatement. And yet, I also recognize that it is a deeply anti-Christian movie.
But also how that isn't necessarily a bad thing. He argues that the movie is wrong about the powerlessness of God, but right about the evil men who used Christianity, whether it be in Ireland in Remick's case, or in America in Sammy's, as a tool to persecute and control others. It's a good video for the most part. Aside from one thing he says, which I think he should have clarified a little bit more on, he mentions how American Christians replaced African beliefs with their own, without mentioning that there were many Africans, primarily from the Congo Delta, who already believed in Catholicism before ever coming to America, and their beliefs didn't stem from colonialism. But I do understand his point in regards to the film, because there definitely were African people who didn't initially believe in Christianity until they were stolen from their country and assimilated into America. Sammy's father is presumably one of these people, and so his roots are similar to Remick's. He embraced the assimilation and wishes to push it onto his son as well, an attempt to blindly rob his son of his culture in order to protect him from sin, similarly to how it was done to him. But he doesn't know any better. He just wants to protect his son, and that's understandable. But in doing so, he would harm him more than he would protect him. Sammy desires to leave the plantation and play music for a living, but Smoke wants him to live somewhere safe and tells him to leave the twins and their sinning ways behind him.
You like making music? Make church music.
but Sammy refuses. Let's return to the juke joint real quick. So the 3 vampires were forced to leave, but at the same time, Mary knows that the twins won't have the cash they need to keep the juke joint open if they pick and choose their customers. And they know that white people usually have more money than black people, and they could bring in some cash that they desperately need. And Remick had told them at the doorway that he has money that he's willing to spend. So Mary convinces Stack to let her leave and talk to the 3 to find out more about their background. She believes that they'll be more honest with her because of her skin color. When Mary finds them, they're singing Will Ye Go Lassie Go, a beautiful and inviting song about love, nature, and companionship, and they're singing it well.
And we'll all go together.
All the while, it's in the dead of night, and the lighting from above darkens the pits of their eyes, and you can sense a lingering evil there, even as they sing this uplifting song. As Remick speaks to Mary, the music in the background is Irish folk music. This will happen multiple times throughout the movie. When the camera focuses in on Remick, music from his past when he was still a human will linger in the background, echoes of a life that he once had, and he wants more than anything to conjure up again and experience again, and he believes he can do that through Sammy. So Remick entices Mary with gold at first, and he does this to get her to come closer. He's unable to control his animalistic urges. He starts to salivate like crazy, like goddamn, this guy's thirsty. His eyes start to glow red, and I love that detail. It's so creepy. So Mary realizes that something is not right with these people, so she pulls a gun on them that Stack gave her earlier, and she warns them to leave. The way Remick rises in the air after she turns her back is incredibly haunting. The camera cuts to a new scene at exactly the right moment. It's just great filmmaking. When Mary returns to the juke joint, oddly she looks the same, as if nothing happened to her. Looks like Remick showed mercy. That was nice of him. But there's one giant warning sign. She asks to enter, but in a way that doesn't sound suspicious, and Cornbread, the guy that Stack hired to watch the entrance, grants her access. So Cornbread obviously doesn't know what kind of evil he just allowed into the juke joint. He then leaves to take a piss outside. When we see him taking a piss, there's fireflies in the background. I love that they decide to do this because mixed in are the glowing eyes of the vampires. It's such incredibly haunting and detail-oriented filmmaking. I think it's so cool that they did this. As soon as you see the fireflies, you start looking at them, right? You're like, wait a minute, they're in there somewhere. And then when you see their eyes light up, you're like, oh shit. And you start hearing Remick in the background. It's so creepy. Obviously, Vampire Mary can't kill them all herself. She knows this, so she arouses Stack to get him in a room alone, where she can kill just him a lot easier than, you know, if they were just out on the dance floor. When they're making love, she starts drooling like Remick from earlier, and Stack is like, God damn, you're drooling like a motherfucker. But he's like, it's kind of hot though. And then she spits in his mouth. I mean, kind of gross, but to each their own. Like, I'm the type of guy that won't use my wife's toothbrush, but whatever. When Stack pulls her dress down, it reveals a bite mark on her back. Later, Smoke enters the room to find that Stack is struggling under Mary. At first, he's like, wait a minute. Like, I think they're fucking, but I'm not too sure. It's very clear that something isn't right when she stands up, with blood all over her face, as Stack is laying there dying. Smoke immediately lights her up. Like, without a second thought, he just starts blasting.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
She seemingly falls dead, only to start laughing a moment later. How confused must you be if you're Smoke right now? Like, this sweet girl that you've known for your entire life just randomly decided to rip your brother's throat out. Like, what the fuck? I would be so confused. After laughing, Mary stands up. Her eyes are dead white, and she says between laughs,
"Who ain't gonna kill every last one of you?"
before rushing out the door. I love this part so much. Every single scene is incredible. I love this movie so much. I've heard a lot of people say the beginning is where all the good stuff is, and the end is, you know, it's kind of weaker.
I loved it up until it became a vampire movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then I only liked it a lot.
You shut the fuck up.
I don't agree. I just don't agree. The entire movie is great, okay, from start to finish. The tone changes dramatically as the movie goes on, but everything about it is amazing. Smoke watches as his twin dies in his arms. Michael B. Jordan's acting here is so good. I can't reiterate that enough. It's just amazing. Like, he was great up until now, but he sells Smoke's trauma so well. I would be surprised if the actor wasn't traumatized after making this movie, because he just became the character.
This ain't no dead body. It's Stack.
Annie, knowing time isn't on their side, and being a Vodun practitioner, tries to reason with Smoke to place the body outside of the juke joint so that it doesn't rise from the dead to do them harm. Smoke obviously refuses. Cornbread returns, after taking the longest piss known to man.
Turns out I need to take a shit too.
It's like that one scene from Austin Powers, how he pees a little bit, stops, then pees a little more, and repeats the process 1,000 times.
Evacuation complete.
But Annie knows that something is up with him because he won't enter without their say-so, something that he obviously wouldn't do if it were actually him. In one of the most haunting scenes in the movie, Cornbread refuses to leave without being paid, so Smoke pays him. But when he does this, his arm crosses the boundary between the juke joint and outside. So Cornbread grabs his arm and attempts to bite it, but Smoke's combat training has prepared him for things like this.
I'm a soldier, boy.
So his reflexes kick in, and he pulls a gun and blows a hole in Cornbread's head. And it doesn't kill him. So he approaches Smoke with a mangled face, as Smoke barely makes it back inside the juke joint. I want to take this moment to admire the practical effects in this movie. I feel like a lot of people overlook them, but they're so good. I love Remek's transformation from when we first see him to the end of the movie, when he's like full-on vampire monster mode with his giant teeth, damaged face, and long-ass fingers. All of the wounds in this movie are so visceral and real looking, just incredible practical effects all around. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door from where they left Stack's body, but it's clearly no longer Stack. Stack stabs a hole through the door. Smoke isn't too bright sometimes because he uses this same hole to peer through the door to, you know, look at his brother without thinking that maybe his brother's a vampire or like a crazy dead person that's gonna attack you. Like, I know it's his brother and he doesn't believe in vampires or zombies or anything, so he might just think that he was wrong about watching his brother die, so he just wants to see him. That makes sense. And then Stack bursts from the door. Annie tosses a jar of pickled garlic at him, and he rushes outside with his face burning. Annie explains that the vampires have a connection to the one that made them, but they will still live on even if the one that made them is killed. She then explains to the group how they might kill the vampires. You know, the basic stuff: a stake to the heart, fire, garlic. I mean, I don't think garlic will kill them, but they're not a big fan. They're kind of allergic.
Ugh, that's gonna be sore tomorrow.
In the most hype and infectious scene in the movie, Smoke hears Remek begin to sing in the distance. He's singing Rocky Road to Dublin.
Rocky Road
Come on.
to Dublin.
A song from when Remek was still a human living in Ireland. It's an Irish folk song about a man leaving his hometown in Ireland to seek fortune in Dublin. The song highlights the struggles of Irish immigration. Remek the vampire is attempting to use his old body's musical heritage in a way similar to how Sammy used his music earlier. But as a vampire, he doesn't have that power. As great as the music is, it doesn't have the soul behind it to empower it. All Remek can do is mimic Sammy's power and puppeteer the vampires around him to dance in a circle and sing the song with him. It's such a fun scene though. I never knew how badly I needed to see a group of vampires dancing in a circle singing Irish folk songs until I saw this movie, because goddamn, this scene is awesome. Cornbread, Stack, and Mary are all there, and they're dancing around singing. It almost makes you like them. That's something else about the vampires in this movie that a lot of people don't mention. It's how inviting they are. They sing and dance in perfect harmony. They lure you in only to attack you when you're most vulnerable. Coogler is a huge fan of animation, and apparently Remek's look in the movie, you know, the way his eyes glow red and everything, was heavily inspired by the character Death from the hit movie Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Fear. Which is incredible, by the way. That movie is so good. There were multiple influences when writer-director Coogler thought up this original concept. He frequently mentions his own heritage and his Uncle James, who introduced him to jazz music, as a driving creative force for Sinners.
The most focused angle of it was my relationship with my Uncle James. He would spin blues records on vinyl, and he would drink Old Taylor whiskey.
The movies From Dusk Till Dawn and The Faculty, two 90s horror films directed by Robert Rodriguez, were cited as inspirations for the film by Coogler. He noted that the film is more heavily inspired by Stephen King's novel Salem's Lot, and a specific episode from The Twilight Zone, the series being Coogler's favorite thing ever made. The episode in question is The Last Rites of Jeff Myrtlebank. The episode focuses on a man who returns to life at his funeral. These vampires are cunning, they're smart, and you might be wondering, why don't they just like fuck off to find someone else to kill if the people in the juke joint won't let them enter? Well, the answer is Sammy.
Must be that voice I heard from out here.
Remek is like the ringleader of these vampires. He's like the center brain of this hive mind. So as long as he's alive, they'll all stick around him and be slightly controlled by him. And he believes that if he turns Sammy, he'll then adopt his musical power and possibly regain the ability that he might have had when he was a human, to use music to conjure up the past and the future, so that he may revisit the people of his life that are long dead that he used to love. Of course, there's the cultural cultural appropriation theme in this movie as well. You know, white people taking what isn't theirs and using it despite never being able to understand the cultural significance of the thing they're using. See Elvis Presley and his early black influences that didn't see anywhere near the same level of renown. I absolutely love the layered themes in this movie so much, and you could seemingly just dig endlessly to find new, different, interesting meanings in this movie. I feel like I could make a 5-hour video on this.
We believe in equality and music. We just came here to play.
In a scene reminiscent of a scene from The Thing, Annie has the people remaining in the juke joint eat garlic one by one to make sure that none of them are vampires in disguise. There was a moment when I thought Delta Slim was a vampire because he has some trouble getting the garlic down. But it's just because garlic and beer don't mix very well.
That goddamn beer from Chicago.
Later, a man desperately tries to enter the juke joint for safety. Smoke doesn't immediately let him in for obvious reasons, so then he's tackled and killed by Cornbread. So Smoke is kind of standing there like, oh shit, well, probably should have let him in. The character Bo Chow approaches the joint and calls to his wife, Grace, to join him outside. It's so creepy the way he does it. He walks up to the juke joint, acting completely indifferent to the killing that's taking place right next to him.
We're just a little hungry, that's all.
And I adore the way they made his eyes transform from brown to dead white mid-sentence when he asks to enter. It's such a cool and spooky detail. The vampires join together outside the juke joint's door and explain the KKK's plan to kill them all. And they try to convince the people inside that their only way to true freedom in this fucked up world of bigotry and segregation is through death and vampirism. This could be symbolic of black people of the time thinking that the only way out of this awful life they're living is through suicide, when obviously that's not true. I think this movie might be telling us that while the world might be shitty, there's always hope, and that you should never give in to the evil around you. Those that remain alive in the juke joint know that even when you're dealt the worst hand, the last thing you should do is make a deal with the devil. I love the parasitic and connective nature of the vampires in this movie. It's so cool. It's not something I remember seeing in any vampire movie or show I've seen before. It's explained that when you die and turn into a vampire in this movie, your soul is sort of like trapped in your body instead of replaced, so it's like consumed by its desires to be freed.
The soul gets stuck in the body, cursed to live here with all this hate.
But you also obtain the memories of every vampire that was turned by the original source.
Cause I know everything he knows now.
You telling the truth, Smoke. I can see his memories.
In this case, Remick. So I imagine immediately when you turn, you're kind of like consumed by this new hunger, as well as the memories and thoughts of everyone else. So you very easily follow the goal of wanting to turn and save those that you love. But save to vampires means kill. You gotta join us, dude. You know, it's just a little bite. Just a little nibble in the neck. You'll be fine.
No vision.
This vampire power is presented to us through Remick, who uses Bo Chow's mind in order to speak perfect Chinese to Grace Chow. He even threatened to kill their child. Grace, you know, desperately wanting to save her child, screams, "Come on in, you motherfuckers.
Come on in, you motherfucker!"
to the vampires outside. Because if there's even a slim chance that she can save her child by killing these things, she's gonna take it. Kind of risky, you know, kind of selfish. There's a lot of other people in this juke joint with you, but I get it. There's an incredible shot of Remick standing in the dark with a light illuminating his head, his red eyes glowing, and he smiles once he hears her. It's party time. The aspect ratio slowly changes as the vampires approach the door. They sing together and their song grows louder and louder. Remick saunters on in ahead of the rest. Grace throws a Molotov cocktail. The vampires rush in. The chaos that follows is a little messy. This is a very small ding against this movie. I feel like the people inside would get overwhelmed in seconds if all of these vampires rushed in at once, which it kind of seems like they do. But in the movie, the camera cuts away and then it kind of plays out more like an Assassin's Creed fight. The vampires seemingly wait their turn to attack after it shows them all rushing in. Their numbers dwindle and change significantly from shot to shot. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. But the little bits of action we see are fun enough to make it incredibly engaging despite that. Grace kills her vampire husband as they both get caught in flames. Annie is jumped and killed by vampire Stack as Smoke watches. Smoke promised Annie earlier that if it came to it, that he wouldn't let her turn. So he keeps his promise and drives a stake into her still beating heart. God damn. That's brutal. Stack and Mary, seeing this, are horrified, not only because they know that Annie will not be joining their hive mind, but they now know that Smoke will not be merciful with them, and he wouldn't hesitate to kill them either. So Stack, trying to save Mary, pulls her away and rushes off. Delta Slim sacrifices himself so that the others might escape upstairs? Where are they gonna go once they're up there, you know? Like, yeah, there's a door up there, but it leads to the air? They gotta jump down and break their legs. But I don't know, maybe you could jump from that height and be fine. Sammy tries and he hurts himself, so they should have put like an Assassin's Creed barrel of hay down there. This same door Remick uses to enter through. Sammy! Remember, he can like fly. I guess the other vampires can't fly? For some reason, only Remick has this power. Stack and Smoke fight upstairs in a scene that must have been a bitch to film. Okay, Michael, you're Stack now. 3, 2, 1, action, cut! Okay, Michael, you're Smoke now. 3, 2, 1, action. Cut! Okay, Michael, you're Stack again. 3, 2, 1, action. Cut! Okay, Michael, you're Smoke again. 3, 2...
Oh, this shit don't get old!
Sammy desperately tries to flee out the door, but he's caught by Remick. In an act of desperation, Sammy remembers his father, and he thinks that maybe God will save him, so he recites the Lord's Prayer. Surprisingly, Remick doesn't kill him right away. Instead, he finishes the prayer with him. The words are then echoed by the swarm of vampires behind them.
Our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses.
Remick then reveals some details about his life when he was alive. He says, "Long ago, the men who stole my father's land forced these words upon us.
The men who stole my father's land forced these words upon us.
I hate those men.
But the words still bring me comfort.
Those men lied to themselves and they lied to us. They told stories of a God above and a devil below, and lies of a dominion of man over beast and earth. We are earth and beast and God. We are woman and man. We are connected, you and I, to everything." So you can tell through him saying this that his ideology has been kind of warped over time. He hates the English Christians that stole his Irish culture and beliefs. A part of him still resists the Christian belief, but his time as a vampire has convinced him that there's no such thing as sin, that there's no God above, there's no devil below, that there's only man and beast, and that only survival of the fittest matters. Remick was seemingly assimilated against his will to the Christian belief. He then forces a baptism on Sammy. Why did he do this instead of simply killing him? Because at this moment, Remick feels unstoppable. These people tried with all their might to fight back, but they still failed. He uses the baptism as a way to assert psychological and spiritual dominance over Sammy. A part of Remick fears that once Sammy is turned, he might not get the musical power that Sammy has. So I feel like he might be doing this baptism as like an extra precaution almost. It's less about saving Sammy's soul and more about claiming it. It could also be a form of mockery. He's a vampire, a symbol of evil.
You the devil.
Sammy.
Baptizing someone as a vampire is, in its own way, a sort of sin. Remick remembers how much he hated the forced erasure of his culture and beliefs, but he was powerless to stop it. Now, as a vampire, he has all the control. He has the power, and he's doing to Sammy exactly what was done to him. Ultimately, the baptism is not a moment of true salvation. It's a ritualistic tool in Remick's campaign of manipulation, wrapped in religious symbolism, but corrupted by his need for control. If he could somehow get Sammy to turn himself over willingly, then just maybe that would gift Remick the power that he so desperately desires. Remick also wears a wedding ring, so he used to have a wife that he presumably still loves if he kept it on for all these years. Either that or he uses the ring to find common ground with his prey before killing them. Sammy slams his guitar into Remick's head, injuring him so badly that the other vampires feel his pain. Yeah! It distracts them all so that Smoke can get in close and land the killing blow on Remick as the sun rises, reducing all the vampires to cinders, all but 2. Smoke ultimately saved Sammy from the devil. Remick dies looking at the sun for the first time since he was human. The Irish folk song plays in the background, and then he dies in a spinning flame. Smoke urges Sammy to be strong, and reveals the true origins of the guitar he uses.
Bury that fucking guitar.
Stack had lied to him and said it was some important person's guitar.
Who told you that, Stack?
When really it was their father's.
Lying son of a bitch. That's our daddy guitar.
Smoke tries and fails to roll a cigar as he thinks back to all the people that died the night before. He's riddled with trauma and he can't even control his hands. This man went through World War I and committed however many crimes. He then loses everybody he loves in a single night, and he's still unscathed. Why does Smoke live? What was his grand purpose? Well, it's to take out the trash, and the trash are the KKK. Let's fucking go! This is one of the most satisfying scenes in all of cinema. The Klansmen arrive at the juke joint early in the morning, trying to catch the people inside unawares. Smoke prepared for their arrival. He then starts gunning them down one by one. He throws a grenade in a truck and it blows them up. He does get shot during the firefight though. Before this scene, when Smoke was sitting there rolling a cigarette, you can see Smoke wearing two necklaces. Each of them symbolize two of the most significant loves of his life. The coin necklace represents his brother Stack, while the other represents the mother of his deceased child, Annie. The coin necklace represents his brother because his brother wore a very similar necklace. He rips off Annie's necklace before going into battle with the KKK, perhaps because he doesn't want her to see what he's about to do. Or maybe he doesn't want to wear something that represents his wife when he's about to do something so terrible, but also, you know, justifiable. He does, however, hang the coin necklace around his gun as he shoots at the Klan, almost as if Stack is there fighting beside him. It's a really cool and subtle detail.
That's a mighty fine day to be free, ain't it?
As the firefight ends, Smoke is bleeding out from a gunshot wound. He then sees Annie and his kid. Earlier in the movie, Annie had said that their deceased child was waiting for them on the other side.
I got somebody on the other side waiting for me. They waiting on you too.
And now they're both waiting for him, and he can see them now, as he exists on the border between life and death, something that the vampires would have stolen from him. Death is a sort of mercy for Smoke. The leader of the KKK distracts Smoke as he's looking at his wife and child, and this pisses him off so much that he empties his clip into the guy. Sammy then returns to his father, bringing us back to the opening scene of the movie. Sammy is given a choice: either follow in his father's footsteps to avoid the devil, or chase his passion for music wherever it may take him, even if the devil might stand in his way. He ultimately decides to face fear head on and follow his heart, abandoning the safe and sheltered life that his father was urging him to live. We then see him years later, still playing the blues, and allowing the younger generation to hear his music, so that they might someday conjure him with their own music. The man who plays older Sammy is Buddy Guy, by the way. Just awesome, I love that. Mary and Stack as vampires enter the same bar as older Sammy. Turns out Smoke didn't have it in him to kill his twin after all, but he made him promise to stay away from Sammy, and Stack kept that promise. Apparently, after Remic's death, the leader of the hive mind was kind of severed, so Mary and Stack were able to live more independent lives. Vampire Stack asks Sammy if he still has the power of music within him, so Sammy plays the song that he played for Stack in the car many years ago. He then tells the two before they leave that he frequently thinks of that night, how it was simultaneously the best and worst day of his life. Stack agrees.
No doubt about it. It was free.
Telling him that it was the last time that he saw his brother and the son. Just an incredible movie. I'm not surprised at all that the anti-woke grifters of YouTube shied away from talking about this one. You know the guys I'm talking about. Kind of weird how they constantly pump out videos talking about every movie under the sun, but then when a woke movie comes out that's amazing like this one, yeah, we just won't talk about it this time. But wokeness is ruining the industry, right guys? Just funny how that works, you know? So yeah, you could say I like the movie Sinners. It's pretty good. I don't know if you guys could tell. Don't forget you can get the Sinners tees for 7 days over at alienclothing.com, and subscribe to Friendly Space Ninja. Do it now. Thank you so much to all my patrons that make videos like this possible. I have a bunch of patron exclusive stuff over there for you guys to watch if you're interested. All the people scrolling up the screen right now, I love you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Us white folks are vampires, aren't we?